Forces driving evolution. Evolution is defined as the change in genetic traits of a population over time. Neo-Darwinism is evolution since Darwin's time. So it includes Darwin's evolution with the added bonus of Mendel's genetics. These four men have had important ideas in evolutionary biology. Natural selection is one of the main drivers of evolution. Traits will improve the survival and reproduction, will thrive in a population. Natural selection is both selective and adaptive. Here we can see an allele in shellfish that as we collect shellfish that are closer and closer to the open ocean, has more and more occurrences of the lap allele. Thus, the lap allele is a beneficial adaptation to those organisms living closer to the open ocean. Predator-prey selection has several different methods of selection. One would be camouflage, blending into the environment. In the picture above, there is a frog. The picture below kind of highlights where that frog is. It's very difficult to see. It's blending into its environment. When it blends into its environment, it's difficult for predators to pick up on it. So the better it can blend, the more it can survive. Counter shading would be another example of camouflage, where the dark upside and the light underbelly. So if you are underneath that shark and you're looking up towards the sky, it's going to blend in more because of the light, kind of it blending into the light. And then when you're looking down, it's darker because you don't have that light. You are looking down towards the bottom of the ocean. So the counter shading is a way for that organism to blend into its environment. Speed and defense, faster you are, the quicker you can get away. The faster you are, the easier it is for you to catch your prey. And then we have mimicry. We have organisms that are imitating other organisms to help their chances of survival. We have two main types of mimicry. We have Batesian, where we have a harmless species that imitates the harmful species. So in the coral snake and the king snake, the coral snake is venomous. The king snake has very similar markings warning its predators that it is venomous when it really isn't. Then we have Müllerian mimicry, where two unrelated species have similar warning systems. Here we have the viceroy butterfly and the monarch butterfly. They have the bright warning colors to let predators know that they do not taste good. They actually taste quite bad. And then we have physiological selection. Physiological selection is where anatomy is, or the physiology is being chosen for in a particular manner. Coevolution is often based on physiological selection. Here we have a hummingbird and the flower that the hummingbird eats off of, and having that big long tube-like beak in order to get the nectar at the bottom of the flower fits perfectly with that flower. So coevolution are two organisms that have evolved together to work well together. Genetic drift is change due to chance. This has a greater effect on smaller populations. If we begin with a population with a wide variety of alleles and we have some random event, the survivors then reproduce. And then if there is another random event, it's going to decrease its variety and variation. So here our variety is lost. The founder effect is when you have a small population that was started by a few individuals. In order to keep that population going, the gene pool is very small, and all of the organisms within that gene pool have to kind of interbreed. So rare traits can be amplified, such as what's in the picture is called polydactylism, where the human has 6 fingers. It's a rare trait, but it's amplified in these smaller communities that are isolated from the rest of the world around. They don't have the genetic variety, so 6-fingeredness in some communities is very common. And other traits can be easily lost because once that trait is out of that population, it can't come back. We have the bottleneck effect, where we have a very large population that's reduced by disaster. And when it's reduced by disaster, you have loss of variation because you have loss of individuals, narrowing the gene pool. Sexual selection is where gender preferences is driving the selection. So we have a couple examples here where we have the male trying to impress the female, such as the peacock. That male with the big, beautiful plumage is trying to find the female or trying to impress that female in order to mate. Sexual dimorphism is when you have big differences between male and female. Sexual selection has arisen from this as females have chosen males that are significantly different and kind of driving that selection. And then we have gene flow. This is the change in frequency of traits due to genes flowing in or out of an environment. Immigration would be coming into the environment and emigration would be leaving. We have three types of selection. We have disruptive. Disruptive selection is when you select towards both extremes and less in the middle. This is one of the types of selection that can actually lead to new species. If this curve here completely separates, now you have two new species. So you have a new species here, and then you have a new species here. And then we have stabilizing selection. Stabilizing selection is when you choose towards the average or towards the middle. Human birth rate would be a great example of stabilizing selection. If you chose babies too far on either end, they'd be either too big or too small for survival or the act of actually coming out. So that average birth weight, the 6 to 9 pounds, is the kind of that stabilizing selection chosen there in the middle. Directional selection is when you choose towards one extreme. Here in the giraffe was chosen in the extreme of the very long neck. When genes flow into a population, it increases variation. When they leave, it decreases variation. And these are the things that you should know.